one of the most important things we can get our students to do before they graduate, and many have turned 18, many have never voted before, is to get our students to understand their role in a democracy. And not just to make sure their issues are presented and taken seriously, but because they're citizens and these freedoms, we do enjoy these freedoms. And a sustainable democracy is only sustained by participation. And there are those that don't want widespread participation, which is all the more reason why our students should be voting. I think if you vote, you do pay attention to issues more closely. If you vote, you're going to be a more educated Democrat in a democracy, and not a Democrat in the political terms, but someone who supports the democracy that we live in. It creates habits, expectations, and I think that students need their voices heard, and students need to get in habits of doing this. It's part of being an American. They should be asking questions about education. They should be asking questions about why is it that colleges, universities all over the United States are having to shift the funding of their institutions onto the backs of students, and why are taxpayers abandoning students all over the United States? That's one question. Californians are better than other states, but we're still caught up in the same trend. They should ask, because we talk a lot about the Wall Street and the investment declines and investments in stocks and bonds and property and buying of banks and other things, but the real investment issue for this country that will either pull us out of a bad economic situation or forever keep us in one is its investment in human capital and its talent, its students, its children. And where does education play in these priorities? I mean, last night I listened to the debates, and we spent a lot of time on Iraq, a lot of time on Afghanistan, a lot of time on Iran, a lot of time on Wall Street, a lot of time and discussion on Wall Street. Healthcare, a lot of time on healthcare. Maybe no questions even brought up education, and only one candidate even mentioned it twice. And one candidate mentioned it twice, and that was all that was mentioned of education. Seems to me that's a bit odd, considering the fact that 70% of every state budget in 50 states goes to education and education-related services. Colleges, universities, and K-12 schools. So our students need to know what our candidates are going to do about funding their education, providing more educational opportunity for the students on their way. There's a whole plethora of things that students could be doing that will bring the attention. Now, I did say students are disadvantaged because they can't have a fundraiser that brings that. And that puts them at a substantial disadvantage, which means they've got to use all the other tools to raise their voices, all the other tools to raise their awareness. And if it means blocking like in a block, if it means voting in a block, if it means being more active on campaigns and assisting with campaigns that you believe in, students have to do all of those things, because they're not going to be able to do what many people with money do, which is, I'll have a fundraiser at my house. And then they have to come and listen to me. Then when I pick up the phone and call them, they have to call me back because I raised money for them or I gave money to them. So students have to use all the other tools to get their attention and to get their motivations and to get their interests in the same issues that motivate students. I think our students are more interested now than they were 10 years ago. And you're seeing it in the voting, you're seeing it in the trends, and the fact that we did that over there. And people were showing up for the election, the debate, was a good sign, was a very good sign. And I think more students than you think watched that debate last night. And I think that more of them are finding out more about it today than you think they are, or at least compared with students 10 or 15 years ago. There's a lot of factors at work here. I would say that the growth in student participation is definitely a good thing. But until the candidates start talking about education and coming and asking for their support, which they're not doing, then we've got a long way to go, because students need to get more active. They need to make sure they vote. They need the candidates react to two things. They react to groups that vote, and they react to people giving them money. Well, students don't have money to give them. So the only leverage that students have on these issues is their ability to vote, and their ability to vote whenever they have an opportunity to, and their ability to vote in groups and blocks if necessary. That's the only way they can get the candidate's attention, quite honestly. So we got a long way to go. I'm very pleased at the changes in the direction that the students are becoming more active in these issues. They do play an important role. 18 million students in American higher education alone could create some political discourse. You might even get a question or two about education in the debates if they knew 18 million students were voting.